Welcome to Hancock's VMware Half Hour.
And welcome back to another episode of Hancock's VMware Half Hour. And today, Sunday, the 30th of March 2025. So wishing you a happy British summertime as we've leaped forward 1 hour and we're now in BST. Yeah, that's it, folks. Think about it. The United Kingdom, Britain owns time. So I'll leave that with you. You can have a think about that one. Anyway, okay. So in today's video, we're going to have a little look. Finally, playing catch up here. We're going to look at VMSA-2025-0004. And as I promised in one of the last videos that I did on how to update ESXi 8 to ESXi 8.0.3D build 24585.383, which of course fixes the critical 0-day update that was released on the 4th of March, which is VMSA-2025-0004. And one of the last ones I did was actually basically using vLCM. So we're going to revisit vLCM today, and I did actually promise that we were going to do a vLCM of 7. So the last vLCM video that we did was updating VMware ESXi 7.0U30 Oscar to 7.0U3Q Quebec using VMware Lifecycle Manager. Now I did actually promise that I was going to video a client site, and I did video a few client sites, but to be honest with you, really, there were so many host names that were given away and so many domain names that were given away in those videos, really, that after looking at the required amount of edits that were going to be required to blank out those host names, I decided to bin them all. Anyway, this weekend, I returned to fix one of the home labs here. We have quite a few home labs. This is probably our largest home lab, because this is actually, well, technically it's not largest in terms of compute or memory across the cluster, because it is only 3 nodes. It's probably the one that's used as a daily driver here for lots of experimentation. Other than the EE cluster one that we have, which is based on 8, which is the 2 mini micro ProLiant servers. And then of course we do have another cluster, and we have another cluster as well, which are even larger, but again those are primarily used for experimentation and VCF, etc., that we will get into later. But anyway, I might have mentioned and you might have seen in a few videos that we've done on this cluster where we had issues, and I actually basically turned around and acknowledged and said, oh, that's due to vSAN, because one of the vSAN nodes is out and down and off. And that was actually September 2024, looking back at my notes, that actually failed. So it has taken me, where are we? October, November, December, January, February, March. It has taken me 7 months to get round to rebuilding that. Only because I don't really have a lot of time, and the majority of the time really is either spent beekeeping, or it's actually basically spent for the V community, generating videos that you're watching now, and also editing. So this weekend I made a little bit of time and dedication to repair this node, which I've done. So again, this is a mini vSAN cluster. It has 3 ESXi hosts, number 6, number 8, and number 10. As I may have actually acknowledged and said before, these are even numbered. We have even numbered clusters and we have odd numbered clusters here in the lab, and we have obviously quite a few. So I thought, now that the 3rd node is back and running, and we are using vSAN again. We have made some changes to vSAN. We have increased the capacity disks, but the big issue was basically the motherboard. The motherboard was shot in that particular server for some unknown reason. No idea why. It wasn't quite initializing correctly. It wasn't quite getting to post, and if it did get to post, then it would actually basically restart. So anyway, so we replaced the motherboard, and we're back in business. So I actually basically thought, okay, well, we'll use this cluster and we'll use vLCM on this, and we'll do the uplift because this is currently running 7.0 U3Q Quebec. So we'll go straight to S. We'll go straight to 7.0 U3S build 2458591. And we'll use this and we'll video this, we'll capture this. But I'm going to follow exactly the same recipe that what I've done before, no different. The only slight difference with this one is that we're using generic white boxes here. We're not using a particular brand, so we're not using IBM or Dell or HPE or Fujitsu or Lenovo. These are just generic vanilla ESXi servers, so we're using the generic vanilla ESXi. We could obviously basically go the dirty method, the over the air method, but I'd rather not. vLCM is vSAN aware. We have made the changes. You will have seen my other videos about generating download tokens, etc., and putting them into vLCM. So just let me show you. Hang on, I'll show you those. Here you can see we've actually used the automated method and the script to update this particular cluster. So if you have a little look here, the URL's changed to dl.broadcom.com for all of these 4 repos. And obviously we've actually integrated, implemented, updated, whatever you want to call it, the download token that's been generated as well. So let's begin. So I'm going to go back to our inventory. I'm going to highlight our cluster. I already have edited, selected the ESXi version. Well, I can do that again. If I can just select edit, I'm going to use the drop down here. I'm going to basically select 7.0 U3S build 2458591. No need here to select a vendor add-on because these are not vendor servers. And again, the same applies with firmware and drivers add-on. No need to add them either. So I'm going to click save. Or I could have clicked validate and then save. So let's just click save and wait for that basically to save. And then basically we will go off and we will remediate the individual hosts. And I'm going to start with 10 because that was the node basically that was out and causing problems. So I'm going to remediate 10. And whilst we're waiting for that, I'm going to have a slurp of espresso. Which reminds me, if you have any ideas for a video, then please drop a note in the description and we'll add that to the list. That list is now growing. And can I just also remind people as well, and I know that this is poor, this is difficult. We are in difficult times, that access to things like vCenter server now, unless you actually have a site ID and a contract, or unless you've actually basically passed your certifications, your VCP-VBF or VCP-VCF, and you have a vMug Advantage paid subscription, or you're part of the VMware vExpert program, then you won't be able to download it. Which again reminds me, if you think you've got what it takes to become a VMware vExpert, then drop me a DM, drop me a message. I'll get back to you and we can talk about that. It won't be long now before the second cut, June, I think it is. Applications are open now until the end of June for the second half of the application, or the announcement of the second half applicants. I think I got that right. So again, there is still a chance for you if you contribute to the V community in any way. If you're a public speaker, if you're writing blogs, if you're completing videos, if you're moderating forums, VMTN, if you're answering questions on forums, if you're doing anything that gives back to the community that's not part of your day job, you may have what it takes to become a VMware vExpert. So just reach out to me. We're always recruiting, and you never know that if you've actually basically done enough under scrutiny, we may be able to fast track you and get you that award ASAP. So just let me know. Okay, so we've saved the image, we've checked the hardware compatibility of the cluster, we've checked the compliance of the cluster with the image, and it's no surprise really that all 3 machines in this cluster basically are out of compliance. So as I said, let's go to ESXi 010, and I'm just going to basically say remediate it. I don't really want to bother with doing a pre-check, so I'm just going to say start remediation. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to just open up a session down here, just basically to ping ESXi 010 -T, and we can actually basically see when that actually gets restarted. I'll put that over here. And 1 host remaining. It's actually having a little think about it. These particular hosts here in this lab, the ESXi operating system is actually installed to NVMe. So the boot up's quite fast. The changes to the OS are quite fast. Unlike our home lab here based on our ProLiant microservers Gen 8s, where the installation is still on SD, and you may remember that they are on industrial strength ND, and it's not a recommendation I'm making anymore. We saw that in 7.03, where VMware made announcements that installations on SD cards and USB cards was not supported, and then it became, I think, depreciated, but still not recommended. I have seen some articles still today written that recommends installing on SD cards and USB. Well, I think you do so at your own risk. Okay, so I'm gonna disappear like I normally do, and we'll speed this up in post as it's remediating the hosts and installing the latest version of ESXi 7.03. So I'll be back shortly. Okay, well, we're back. We started this video at 11 o'clock this morning, and we have failed to update VMware vCenter Server 7.03. Well, actually, sorry, ESXi 7.0 U3Q Quebec to 7.0 U3S. And puzzling, if you look at the remediation failure, it states remediation of cluster failed, cannot download VIB, and it gives the URL. It gives the correct custom URL, which we have used using the script in the automated method, which we've done a video about, so I'll put that in the description as well. Using the token that we've generated on the Broadcom site. Now, those are tested in quotes using the script, but what I've really found is all the test does, it just tests that it can reach vmw.depot.index.xml. Further diagnosis shows, if we actually look through the tailed logs, and I'll kick off a remediation again, you can see that that one's failed there, and I've been trying this, as I said, for the last 7 hours or so. So let's just basically kick off a remediation again by saying remediate start remediation. Let's have a little look at the logs that we can see. You will immediately see that there is a get and a connection that's performed to host download.broadcom.com, and it's trying to fetch the VIBs, but it's actually getting a forbidden when it's actually basically trying to fetch the VIBs. And I can actually simulate this here by using exactly the same command with another generated token that says not entitled. Now, it looks like to me that now also your updates are also checked against your entitlements. So if you don't have an entitlement currently for 7.03 or VMware vCenter Server 7 or VMware vSphere 7 at Broadcom, i.e. you cannot download depot updates for 7, but you can for 8, you will not be able to use vLCM either. Now, I have confirmed by pasting in here ESXi 8 VIB. I can basically download that VIB from the repository using this token. But with these tokens that are only available in the Broadcom portal, because we only have access to version 8, not 7, we can no longer down updates using vLCM. The same would apply with over-the-air updates as well. Now, this is a bit puzzling. One of the other things that I've also struggled since, if I use the script here, and you can see it there, but I'll just go back and hit enter, and I'll say check the depot configuration. The depot configuration, as reported by the script, actually states that we are using the original host depots. And if I also basically check up here and look at Lifecycle Manager and look at settings and I look at patch setup, the custom URLs are not even shown. So I have no idea at all why. If I go back to our inventory, if I go back to our image, if I go back to try and remediate, and it's remediating hosts, it will fail because it's still trying to use, here we go, cannot use that token, and I have no idea where that is actually stored in VMware vCenter Server. I've used the script to replace the default values. I've restarted the Update Manager service. I've restarted VMware vCenter Server, but at present our VMware vCenter Server is balked. Now, from the 23rd of April, this probably really doesn't make a lot of sense in using the depot, the default depots, because you're not going to be able to use them anymore. But for the next 22 days, you're not going to be able to basically, unless you say you've got the right entitlement, you will not be able to update your VMware vCenter Server or your ESXi hosts. So my advice to you at the moment is don't update until the very last moment. Like we have got a couple of sites that we have already done these updates on. I'm going to check them next week. And then we will open a Broadcom support call and ask the question outright. These new download tokens, are they actually specific to the versions that you're entitled to get a message from the horse's mouth? So all I'm going to have to say about this particular video is to be continued. And I'll have to think up of a catchy description as to what I'm going to call it. I was going to scrap it and I was going to delete it, but I did sort of kind of think, well, I actually really think there's some information here that people need to know about. I don't know whether or not that this is specifically this VMware vCenter Server here that's now balked. As I said, I don't understand why that we cannot undo these changes that we have now made where these generated tokens seem to be stuck, and these custom depots seem to be stuck now in our VMware vCenter server config. So to be continued. Anyway, so thanks very much for watching another inconclusive Hancock's VMware half hour. But I did actually basically think that considering that I had spent over 7 hours worth of effort all afternoon trying to update 7.03 via vLCM, and then what should have been a simple operation has been caused by a not entitled to, I thought that I'd come back, finish off. Anyway, so thanks very much for watching an inconclusive Hancock's VMware half hour. If you've liked the video, then please thumbs up. If you don't like this video, then please thumbs down. And if you've got any more ideas as to what videos that you'd like, then drop them in the description. So watch out for a part 2 on this when we come back and work out what all this nonsense, what Broadcom has done here. Anyway, so again, thanks so much and good afternoon and goodbye.